Yeah, that's right. Shane,
Oh,
aka
AKA
Dr. Seuss.
That is great.
I love it.
To talk about. It's good things.
I
Hey, how's
know.
it going?
Hi, good. Good.
Awesome.
I'm really like finally here in the North Carolinas.
Mhm.
We finally let's see. I want to say it was like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, man. It was like a tropical rainforest
Yep.
here. It was
Yep.
so humid. It was so hot. It was just the weather was crazy. It was really, really crazy.
Yeah. Fall is back.
So,
Fall is back.
So this morning when I went outside and I was freezing cold, I was like, oh,
yes, I am in my happy place.
Yes, get the sweaters. Get the sweaters.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweater
Yeah.
weather. I like it.
Yeah. Was it humid in South Carolina over the weekend?
Oh, it's terrible.
Really?
Terrible. Yeah.
Man.
Terrible bad.
No bueno.
Bad. But
No
now it's
bueno.
great. Now it's great.
Yeah.
Gonna be even better next week, I hear. So
yeah, I know. And I mean, it's just so pretty. Like when the trees are yellow and orange, 80-degree weather just doesn't work.
Doesn't match.
No, it doesn't match. No, I cannot carry around my hot coffee cup, although I do when it's 90 degrees. But it just doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you and I had a really great conversation around the reality and the truth of the coaching industry. What's really taking place as far as the clientele is concerned. And really from both the person hiring the coach and the coach being hired, right? And now, full disclosure, people, I am not a coach. I do not market myself as a coach. People call me whatever they want to. And I'm very quick to be like, no, I'm not that. But if that's what you want to call me, that's fine. But I'm very quick to correct people. Like, you are a coach. You went through a coaching program at University of Georgia, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, so you got a great memory. How about that?
Oh, man.
Pulled that one out of there.
Oh yeah. I'm with you, man. I have tried to hone the skill of listening.
That's good.
So anyway, the reality is that there's coaching programs. It's not an industry that is, what's the word? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Where it is, there's an oversight.
Yeah, it's not regulated.
That's it. Thank you. Regulated. It's not a regulated industry, which means that anybody can pop up at any point and say, hey, I have a coaching program and I'm going to give you a certificate. And then you can go out and call yourself a coach.
Yeah.
Now that does not mean that these pop-up coaching programs are not valuable. I think it depends on the person going through it as to its value. If it's valuable to you, then it is valuable to you. So we're not here to discuss what coaching programs are better. I'm just making the very clear distinction that I am not a coach and Shane is. Now, what the business world calls me when they don't know what to call someone like me, they call me a consultant, right? Which technically means that I have done something like logistically long enough to know what not to do. Okay. So I'm the person that comes in and is like, hey, you want to get, you want to actually be able to take this algorithm and direct it to a $300 to $500 return on investment, or 300 to 500% return on investment. Okay. Here is what we need to do. Stop doing this, start doing that. That is really the very clearest definition of a consultant. We do not coach. Now, I will say, because I've been coached, I see the value of coaching, which coaching is a lot deeper dive than asking questions, but coaching taught me how to ask questions versus always being the teller. Because I can be very bossy. I'm sure nobody picked up on that.
What?
No, never. Never, right? Because I am just the picture of quiet church mouse. Okay, I get it. But the reality is I can be quite bossy. And so I really needed to learn a new approach because I could tell people till the cows came home, like what needed to be done. But until they had an encounter that forced them to do what needed to be done, it didn't matter what I was saying, right? So the coaching industry, and you, Shane, and coaches that I've hired that have coached me really well have taught me the value of leaning in and asking really good questions. And I now, that is just a natural part of my everyday. When I'm homeschooling, it's all question-based. When I am wanting someone to buy into principles and ideas that I have, it's question-based, right? So I've really tried to eliminate the telling out of the gate until the person finds value in me telling them something. And I can't know that till I ask questions. So a coach, as I understand it, and you correct me, Shane, I'm going to give my understanding and then you come in and clean it all up.
Okay.
So my understanding of the coach is not the person that says, hey, I've done this thing long enough, I'm going to tell you what not to do. They are somebody that says, hey, I believe that you already know what to do, but there's something keeping you from doing it. It might be a mindset. It could be an idea. It could be an experience you had that's keeping you from taking the actions you want to. And unlike therapy, the coach helps you discover what that thing is.
Yes.
Whereas a therapist goes in and deals with the past of the activity that got you stuck to begin with. Is that fair?
Good distinction. Good distinction.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's really important. What you did there is you distinguished between a coach, a therapist, and a consultant. Very well done. And I think from a coaching perspective or a therapeutic perspective or a consulting perspective, there are skills that are interchangeable among each of those disciplines. So a therapist is going to ask good questions. A coach is going to ask good questions. A consultant is going to ask good questions. But what they do with the answers is where the differentiation comes in, right? Like, so where I'm going as a coach, I'm helping you become the person who can take action on what you already know to do. And the way that I do that as a coach is I don't let you get away from the fact that you maintain ownership, responsibility, and autonomy in deciding. Because that's really where people get stuck. From a coaching perspective, I help people make decisions. I don't do that by giving them the answer. I don't do that by dealing with their past. I do that by giving them an inescapable route to going through whatever it is that they know they have to go forward with. Now, when I say go through, don't hear therapy. Don't hear therapy, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the business owner who knows that he or she has to cut $10,000 in expenses in order to be able to balance the budget in the next 90 days and already knows what that is requiring of them, but somehow is trying to find a way to avoid it. They don't want to make the decision because either they've got something, either they don't think it's rightfully theirs to make, or they don't believe that they've actually looked at all of the angles, or whatever it might be. They already know what to do. They're just hesitating. So a coach removes the hesitation so that the person who's being coached can actually take the action. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, really well said. I mean, I think that I was writing this down. I think the thing that landed on me is that all three of these providers are going to ask good questions, but it's in their answer is where the differentiation is. And really where they take those answers to.
Right. That's right. So when you get a question as a consultant, is for you to discover, like, okay, what are the parts and pieces that are already here that may be misaligned, perhaps. When I'm asking the question, I'm trying to discover, is this person being truthful? Are they telling the truth? Or are they trying to skirt, so they don't have to deal with it? Like, I'm looking for, is this actually true? Like you just said this, is that true? A therapist is doing it to say, how does this align with everything else that's built up until this moment and shaped your perspective? And what might we do in order to reshape that perspective so you can move forward? Three very different disciplines, all using the same skill towards very different ends.
Yeah, so well said. So if we want to avoid some common coaching mistakes, I'm just going to right out of the gate say the first one, which is you have to know what you need.
Yes.
Right. Like, do I need a consultant? Do I need a coach, or do I need a therapist? And so if I need an answer to a question, and I need a solution, and I need a process, or I need a system, or I need a tool to fix something externally, more often than not, I'm going to be looking for a consultant. Right.
Yes.
If I am having different if I'm having different, I'm going to let you talk to the coach, but I'm trying to speak to this therapy thing real quick. If I am in a emotionally dire situation and a mentally dire situation, or I am experiencing mental health issues, depression that I can't seem to get out of, debilitating anxiety that's keeping me from functioning in my everyday life, fear of something that's keeping me from doing everyday activities, I need a therapist. I need a trained professional on my mental health. So how do I know when I need a coach, Shane?
When you when you have gotten sick and tired of being sick and tired, you might need a coach. And what I mean is when you go through the process and say, you know what, I'm going to set this goal and I'm going to have a plan. And then you come back around and it's not happening. You're like, okay, I've tried it again. I went in there and I set my goal and it's not that you don't know what to do. You know what to do. But if you keep coming back to that goal and you haven't done what you already know to do, might be time for you to consider a coach.
Well said. Okay. So what are some common, besides, hey, I don't really know what I need, so I just go to the coach, because there's 100 for every 5 Americans right now. So if you,
very true story.
There's a lot. I mean, there is really,
a lot.
I'm not going to speak to the numbers, but the last time I did the numbers, there was like 30,000 coaches graduating from coaching programs just around the US daily.
It's a staggering number, isn't it?
It is a staggering number because the industry is not regulated, right? So, some common coaching mistakes is, number one, not knowing what you need, right? And there's a lot of coaches that sit on this line of coach and consultant. So what's another coaching mistake you see people make, Shane?
Yeah, I think another mistake I see people make is not defining their priority. Because when you come into a coaching engagement, there are lots of areas that you could focus. What a coach is going to be able to help you do is, once you've prioritized, is going to be able to help you accelerate your results. So if you haven't already determined where you want to prioritize your focus, then you're not going to get the maximum benefit out of a coaching engagement. So I think not knowing your priority as it relates to where am I not getting the results, that I keep coming up against the same problem, me. I got to prioritize and say, what do I want to tackle first? It's not that we can't go into other areas, but if you haven't prioritized, you'll bounce. And what happens when you bounce is you don't get traction, you don't get accelerated results. And you oftentimes look back at the coach and say, what was wrong with you? Why didn't you help me? Well, it's not the coach. It's the lack of prioritization that prevented the coach from being able to help you accelerate results.
That's so good. And such a great segue into my final question. I think this could be a big takeaway for people that are watching, Shane, is how do I, as the person seeking a coach, qualify someone? How do I know that the person has experience to help me? Is it because they've worked with people that are like me? Is it because their website has some reviews on it? How do I determine that this is the right coach for me?
I think a couple of things come to mind. One is that you can see people who look like you, who have gotten what you want from working with this coach. So it is reviews, testimonials, things that you would see that would tell you, hey, that person sounds like I sound right now. And then now they sound like I want to sound after they worked with this person. I want to learn more. That doesn't mean they're qualified. But it means that they ought to be. It's one reason they ought to be vetted. Like, okay, I don't want to vet anybody who hasn't actually helped somebody do what I want to do. That's a waste of
Correct.
time.
Yeah. Like there's some proof that you've helped
Right.
somebody else. Okay.
That's it. Yep,
Yeah.
that's proof
Okay.
is that. The second thing that I think is super important is rapport. So
Mm.
I want to be able to step into a conversation with a prospective coach, and I want to see, is there rapport there? You and I, Amy, we use this word harmony. Is there harmony there? A coach who can help you accelerate results is going to build harmony in there, but there is going to be something that happens with a good coach as you begin this conversation where you say, boy, they're like me. They're like me. Like, not only have I seen that they got proof they can help get people like me to where they want to go, but they are like me. That harmony creates vulnerability, transparency, and honesty, which is absolutely required for results to be accelerated. If you don't have harmony, you're not going to go there, and you're going to waste your money on a coach if you don't have it.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else we should be looking for?
I am not an advocate of, I got a university certification, and that's important. There must be some type of training where there is a demonstrated proof this person has got a process. I'm not saying you got to have a certificate in order to be able to do this deal called coaching. But if you do not have a process as a coach, you will not be as effective as you could be. So I want a coach to tell me, what's your coaching process? Now, a good coach has a repeatable process that they use consistently, and they'll be able to speak to it. Right off, they're not going to be caught off guard. You're going to hear people tell you, you need to ask the question, tell me what your philosophy of coaching is. I think that's a terrible question, because I can have a philosophy and not put any process to it, and you not get any results. I want you to be able to speak to the process that you use. How do you take me from here to there? And a good coach is going to be able to answer that question without any thought, because they do it every single day. It's what
That's
they do.
right. That's right. And the way they speak about that process is going to have some markers.
Yes.
They're going to be able to say, the reason that I need a 12-month engagement from you is because in order to take you from here to there, the first 3 months, by the end of those first 3 months, we are boom. By the end of the next 3 months, we have done this. The end of the next 3 months, we're doing that. Like there's a bit of a time frame.
Yes, that's right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I often tell coaching clients, typically, depending on the person I'm working with and the severity of the priorities, typically I'm going to start with either a 3-month or a 6-month coaching engagement. I'm more likely to go to a 3-month unless it is extremely rare cases, because I want to demonstrate that I can help you solve problems quickly. You got a priority list of things that you want to tackle. We're not going to tackle all those things in 6 months. I want to get you results fast on that top priority, because you might in 3 months look back at me and say, oh my stars, I had no idea how transformative coaching would be. You helped me on that number one priority. I don't need you anymore. I now have the framework to go and solve all these other problems. I don't want you locked into a 6-month or a 12-month contract. If I can help you in 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So a good coach has that process that is time-based, that delivers results, that then you can decide, did that solve my needs? Does that give me what I need? Or do I want to go through this priority list now that I've gotten results and go further with this coach?
Oh, you said this really bad word, not once, but twice, Shane. You use the R word, results. So I hear coaches, especially in a very specific coach training program that I've had the privilege of being I don't know if you call it a teacher, someone that shows up and shows them how to acquire clients right out of their coaching program. So it's interesting because where the tension comes is that this coach training program says, hey, you can coach anyone. And don't define a problem that you solve, because coaches don't solve problems. Okay. So I'm going to tell you something right now. Probably the only people on the planet that can say that are therapists. Yes, because you're dealing with mental health. you don't know what direction it's going to go. They don't have machines to get into the brain to say, hey, we definitely need to go this route with care. It is it is truly evolutionary. A coach actually needs to be able to help someone solve something, whether it is getting an outcome that they want, achieving the objective that they have, eliminating the obstacle to get them to there has to be something that you wrap your arms around and say, sure, I could coach you. And you know what? If you need a coach and there's rapport, I'll coach you. But where I coach people really well is people that describe their obstacle or their objective in this way and describe the vision that they have for themselves this way. Those are my people.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
You are not a mental health provider.
Correct.
You are someone helping a human go from a current state to a future state. You are transformative in nature. So transformations are very similar to building a house. I don't just show up and tell the contractor, let's just start building and let's just figure it out as we go. I mean, I don't know if the window should go there or if it should go slightly to, I don't know I don't know where to put the bedrooms, right? No, there has to be a framework that you can then fill in.
Yes.
Everything in life has a frame that is then filled in. Everything. And we see that all the way back to the very beginning of creation. There was a framing out and then it was filled in with humans and animals. It was not a boom, everything appeared. That's not how it happened.
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you, coaches, that number one, do not call yourself a consultant unless you have a defined problem you're solving and a defined solution with actionable, measurable steps. That's what a consultant does.
Yes.
A coach comes in and says, if you have this objective, this is the objective I like to help people fulfill. And this is how I help those people do it. We move in this way down the runway at a speed that allows you to get what you want as soon as possible. A therapist is evolutionary. I don't know how many sessions it's going to take. I don't know what direction we're going to go. Right. I don't know how the trauma from childhood impacted your decision-making today. That's not what a coach does.
Boy, good
so I really want to leave all of you with this idea that if coaches, especially, and those of you wanting to be a coach consultant, stop it. It's like a two-headed monster. Just stop. And I will say to you, coaches, you have to define your mountain. You have to define it. And then you have to defend it like hell. Because if you do not defend this thing that you say you can help people do, you will fall for anything all the time. And you have no foundation. You have no substance, and people are not going to trust you with their transformations. Right. So I want to leave you with that. And I want you to take some of these things that Shane said, especially what to look for. Be looking for testimonials, and do the testimonials sound like my current state? And did those people get from this coach what I see in my mind's eye for myself? And is there rapport? Do I feel like this person is like me so I can like them? And lastly, do they have a process that they can demonstrate how they're going to coach me from Stuckville to Visionville? Okay. Do they have a vehicle? Like, do they know what path to take? Do they know how to read the map? Like, let's make sure that these people are fulfilling those things.
Well
so
said.
We will leave it with that, and we will be talking next time. We're going to have she would not define herself this way, but I'm going to. She is really an agile leadership expert. So she works in big companies and helps them flip culture. And I just thought, man, we're going to have a good conversation with Shane. So I think it'll be fun. So next Wednesday, we'll have Kristen on with us. So we'll see you then.